Today we are going to do a 35% of 1 RM target a day. That'll be a good protocol to use as an example for what goes into an a day. That's going to be our fingertip flexion work paired with ulnar deviation, primarily for strength, or we will also use this in the rehab process, really at any point in an athlete's buildup. This is low enough that we're still comfortable doing it in season if we want to, but we'll get a look at what goes into an A day, what goes into fingertip flexion and ulnar deviation training. So now I will turn my device on. I just flicked it on. You can see that blue light flashing. We'll search. There we go. There's the device. And we'll browse all protocols. As I said, I'm going to do a 35%. Part of the reason I'm going to do a 35% is at the 30 to 35% threshold is where we switch from 4 reps in each exercise to 3 reps in each exercise. Some of that is because of the fatigue with a little bit higher training percentages. We have the pop-up for what is my all-time max velo. Some of your orgs may have set these for you guys. That's totally okay. This is just a reminder, so every athlete always has the proper training targets. Now that I've mentioned training targets a few times, let's scroll over and look at training targets. These targets are a representation of our nearly 3,000 users, our database for how strong you should be given how hard you throw. I have 92 as my input. So you can see then for an 8A fingertip, so these 4 exercises here, forefinger, index, middle, ring, and little fingertip flexion. And then if we scroll down to the end, we will also see my ulnar deviation. My targets are all going to be 35% of these 92 numbers. So we'll click continue here, press start. There will be no warm-up because we are still below the 50% threshold. As we get above 50% is where we start introducing a warm-up. Of course, as you know, you can skip the warm-up with these buttons here. We have the skip repetition and skip exercise. So with 35% of 183, that's why I have this 64. I'm going to have 3 reps with a total of an 8-second hold time. This little node here signifies that I have 2 seconds. It also said it in the instructions, but I have 2 seconds to ramp up to that total of 64 units of force, and then I'm going to sustain it for the remaining 6 seconds. So there we go. I apply my force. A little above 64. I'm going to try to hover right around there. I'm doing an okay job. And there we go. Done with rep number 1. We have a programmed 8-second rest time. Rep number 2, I got right into it. As soon as that rest timer went away, I can get back into my next rep. As you can see at the end of each of these reps, I have my average force. So I did a perfect job there. I averaged 64. And you can also see the contribution to each finger, or the contribution from each finger to reach that total. There we go. How do we do on that last rep? Average of 63, index finger leading the way, little finger lagging behind. But that's it for all 4 fingers. So now I'm going to slide the finger receivers out of the way to focus solely on the index finger. I will provide my force to get up to that 24. I was a little slow to get up to that 24, but that's okay. We're going to sustain it. And done. Let's see how I did on my average. 24. So I came out all right. Rep number 2. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it on your end, but I ding when I reach my target force, and then there's another ding or another sound, whatever you want to call it, when the timer is up. You can see my setup here. Again, just fingertip in the device or in the fixed digit receiver. Just trying to sustain that 24. You don't get bonus points for going well above your target. You're just trying to camp right there. And I'm doing a pretty fine job, it appears. That is the last rep of the index finger, and now we're on the middle finger. So I slid that index finger out of the way by grabbing the little rabbit ear clips. Now we're set up in the middle finger, so that's my only finger in the device right now. I'm getting up to 26 and I'm going to sustain it. Rep number one, again, we have 8 seconds in between each rep, 3 reps of each of these fingers, and then eventually when we get to ulnar deviation, we have 4 reps. I'm going to move my camera around so you can see a little bit of my training setup. My elbow is resting on my armchair here. That's totally okay. I'm applying force. As you can see, it's isometric. My finger's not moving at all. And I'm a little low on my force here because I'm getting distracted. I think I did okay in the end. I know this is a weird angle for everyone to watch at, but I wanted to show you that it's totally okay to rest the elbow. We don't need to be elevated. We don't need the hand out in between or during the reps or anything like that. But if you want to rest your elbow down or rest your arm down completely between the reps, that's okay. And if you want to raise your hand up or raise your arm up so it's floating, if that feels more athletic, that's totally okay during the rep. But we don't need to fatigue the rest of the arm, fatigue the shoulder by trying to hold the arm in place. You guys have probably heard me say this time and time again. You want to be in a comfortable position when you are performing your training. That way you can be consistent and you can repeat that position. You can repeat that action. So you don't necessarily need to get out at a ball release position. You can stay comfortable, you can stay calm, you can train from a chair, you can stand if you want to, but this really shouldn't be anything crazy as we're working through the training process. So there we go, already done with the ring finger, and we're on to the little finger. Got a target of 13. I was only getting 9 out of that little finger when we were doing the 4 finger reps, but this actually is not very difficult for me to sustain. I tend to think the ring finger is the toughest, or that's where I struggle the most. I produce pretty good force with it, but sustaining force with the ring finger, I struggle. Rep number 2 of the little finger. Done. And after our 8 second rest time, I will knock out that last rep. As you can see, this is pretty easy for me. I can talk through it. That's totally okay. This is 35% of my targets for 92. Truthfully, my max strength is a little bit above those 92 mph targets, and I'm on the device a good bit, so this shouldn't be too difficult. It is totally okay if the 35% level is difficult. It just lets us know what we need to target in our training if it is difficult. Like I said, totally okay, but that's where we develop training plans from. So now we have our instructions here for ulnar deviation. So if I have that hand strap, I can loosen it. I don't use a hand strap, as I assume the grand majority of you do not use a hand strap. We don't even supply hand straps with the devices anymore, but we move that hand over and now we will calibrate. I will take my offhand, for me it's my left hand, and I'm going to brace the back of the device just to give me something to push against. Ramp up to 26. So this action, this ulnar deviation is like a chopping action to the side, thinking like a breaking ball. So I'm really trying to push through that pinky laterally with the wrist. We can use the offhand as a brace, but we don't really want to be pushing hard with it. We can stop device motion because if I just push, obviously my device is going to move a little bit on my hand means my forces might fall a little bit. So the offhand being on the back of the device just creates a little bit more of an immovable object. This is my last rep of the whole workout here. Boom. And we're done. So from there, we click done, and it's going to give us the option to go to our protocols. If we want to check out our results, we can either go to the history page on our app, or we can go into the dashboard and check that out under our percent of 1RM training. But there we go. That is a percent of 1 rep max a day.